Hi everyone, and welcome to the Insights People ABC session based on our Kids Insights data. My name is Jonathan Watson, and I'm the Chief Product Officer at the Insights People. Kids Insights is an independent market intelligence service, and we help brands understand the ever-changing attitudes, behaviours and consumptions of the next generation. We do this by surveying more than 5,000 kids per week across the globe, which is equivalent to 270,000 across the year. Now we do this to find out about their lives, from what they're watching to talking about with their friends. Today, we're going to be talking about kids' favourite animated content, what's resonating and why. Then we'll be looking at some of the big picture trends that have really appeared and have accelerated since coronavirus. We'll be mostly drawing on our examples from the Kids Insights UK data, but really supplemented by our research across Europe, the US, Latin America and Asia. Now, just before we jump into the world of kids, I really wanted to share some of the results from our industry survey, which I just think really sets the scene about why we're here today discussing trends and insights. We asked businesses across the kids industry about how well equipped they feel in the current market, because the kids industry fluctuates rapidly and businesses need to react in an agile way as trends ebb and flow. And 76% of companies don't anticipate to be operating in the same way in 5 years' time. 1 in 2 companies are investing more in product development, content creation and collaboration, yet over half are not confident their new products and ideas will succeed. The majority agree that it's important to have effective data, but data-driven decisions are difficult, especially in the midst of regulation, with the majority also not believing their businesses are well able to adapt to any more changes in regulation, such as from GDPR or COPPA, and brands told us it's tricky to track ROI as well. However, almost all agree that insights are essential, and that's why we're here today. So hopefully I'll be able to share some useful insights and data which can kind of inspire or influence your plans for the next year. Now then, firstly, let's look at and introduce this and understand this next generation. Let's start off with some definitions, actually, because Generation Z are those born between 2000 and 2010. Generation Alpha are born after 2010. Now, this generation are super informed, they're constantly connected, and their attitudes, behaviours and consumptions are not only different, but constantly changing. These kids are really switched on. Generation Alpha have never known a world without the iPhone, Spotify, YouTube, Amazon or Netflix. So having access to this technology and platforms, such as YouTube, means they can be reached globally as well, exposing them to what's going on around the world, and therefore they're becoming more accepting and progressive with their thoughts. These kids are visual, with many watching obviously lots of online content, and this leads them to becoming visual learners. But they don't just want to watch and consume content, they want to co-create and build and develop their own personalised experiences, and we really see this with the popularity of gaming at the moment. These kids are also influencers. They have more influence than ever before on their parents' shopping decisions, but they themselves are becoming global influencers with platforms like YouTube and TikTok growing. The other thing we know is that times are changing extremely quickly for kids, like everyone. Obviously, the pandemic's accelerated a huge range of trends, quicker than we could have ever imagined. And we're going to look at some of those trends later. But firstly, let's look at what type of animated content is resonating with kids at the moment and why. Children have been anxious, they've been bored, and they're really looking towards their favourite content as a form of escapism and entertainment. We're going to start off by looking at preschoolers, aged 3 to 5, and firstly by looking at the devices they use to access their favourite content. Because the main story here is very much how tablets are now on top. Almost 8 in 10 kids in the UK, aged 3 to 5, have access to a tablet, and 2/3 own their own device. That's greater than the levels who access TV. So the main access point for content at this age is the tablet, and this is true across the UK, the US, Australia and Canada. But across Europe it's slightly different. France, Italy, Germany and Spain, we see that the TV still has greater access levels. In countries like India and Brazil, they're much more mobile first, so smartphones come out on top there, even for the youngest children. Now in terms of their favourite shows that they're watching, and it's important to note that this is favourite, not most viewed. 100% of the top 15 shows are animated content. Germany is actually the only country across Europe to not have just animation in their top 10 shows, as live football sneaks in at 10th place in Germany. But in the UK there, we can see Paw Patrol is the favourite. Peppa is in second place here in the UK, but if you look to France and Spain, actually Peppa Pig takes the top spot. Italy is slightly different. No Peppa Pig or Paw Patrol feature inside the top three. Instead, Masha and the Bear takes the top spot. So it's really clear that it's these well-established properties that have really cemented their position during 2020 as families seek to kind of continue with that familiar content. We've already touched on the shifting viewing habits when we looked at devices, and the shift is clear. As those watching mostly broadcast TV continue to shrink, this is a long-term trend we've been tracking over the last 3 years, but it's also true across the globe. Comparing the last 6 months to the same period last year, we can see a 21% fall in Spain and a 28% reduction in Germany as well. So this is a consistent global trend, as we know. YouTube is one thing that is pretty consistently strong on that graph. And just going on to the next page now, we can see 40% of preschool kids in the UK watch YouTube a few times per day, with 27% of those kids watching for between 1 and 2 hours. So it's really interesting how at this age, actually, also kids and families are kind of seeking longer form TV-like content on YouTube. Peppa Pig is again the favourite channel. And longer form episodes are the third most popular genre of content that families are seeking out, just behind content from YouTuber personalities like Ryan. And then, of course, we've got the rise and the ever popular YouTube native content like Little Baby Bum, Coco Melon, which are performing increasingly strongly as well. Starting to look at the slightly older children now, the 6 to 12s category. We can see how at this age the access to consoles and ownership of consoles have doubled compared to the preschoolers. Access to smartphones has jumped as well. And really the way kids obviously access their devices, and it really influences the way they consume their content as well. Now we can see here the most popular animated content with kids this age, again, is familiar content. Scooby-Doo, Horrid Henry, The Simpsons. This is familiar content that's really done well since the first lockdown in the UK. This is all content that's also on free-to-air. There's no Netflix originals here, which is a really interesting trend. But as we just mentioned, gaming at this age becomes increasingly important, and I just wanted to highlight how important it is to children across the world. It plays a huge role in their lives, and this has kind of been really driven by the uptake in more casual mobile gaming platforms, but by the age of 6 to 9, gaming is already very well established. You can see the majority of kids are gaming, and this only increases further with age. By the time we reach tweens and eventually younger teens as well, it gets even more popular. And obviously, gaming is not just for boys. The stereotypes of a gamer have been well and truly smashed, and over 8 in 10 tween girls in gaming in the US as well. Now, gaming really kind of ties into and drives this trend that we mentioned earlier of co-creation. This generation of children no longer just want to passively consume content. They want to play a role in the outcome and really help shape the direction and make it personal to them. Back in 2018, we predicted that there would be a growth in the platforms and tools and products that really enable children to co-create. And fast forward 2 years, we're seeing more and more examples of this. Obviously, gaming platforms are really a key way to kind of satisfy this creator mentality. We've seen lots of innovation and lots of platforms like Minecraft and Roblox, which have been around for a few years, but just continue to, in the case of Roblox, just get more and more popular. We even saw earlier this year brand new games, or brand new versions of games like Animal Crossing, quickly becoming children's favourites during lockdown. At the moment, some of the really trending video games include Among Us and Fall Guys as well, which are just increasingly popular with kids. Now I just want to briefly look at the teenage market, because there's one really interesting trend kind of bubbling away, and that's anime. We've got some data here on Crunchyroll, which is the main platform for anime. This data here is from the US. Now you can see that Crunchyroll is certainly not as popular as other platforms. You can see there by the smaller dot, the smaller bubble on the graph. However, anime is interesting because bigger players now, such as Netflix, are really starting to invest heavily into their anime offering on this genre. And Netflix's greater resources mean that perhaps anime can be brought to a larger audience, possibly exposing it to users who may not have invested the time and money otherwise. And I think what's interesting about anime is that it plays into this larger trend around, it's never been easier to kind of find your niche community online. Some of the top most searched Google terms and some of the trending items in the Kids Insights data this year have been around what we could describe as niche platforms, the likes of Discord and Steam and Twitch and Reddit. These platforms are smaller than the likes of Instagram or Twitter or Facebook, but these platforms are extremely powerful with dedicated and really engaged communities. Kind of the type of people using these platforms all really share a common passion, and this can really fuel the uptake of trends. So we've looked there at some of the content, the animated content that's resonating with kids of various ages. We've touched upon some of the reasons why, but now I just want to really spend some time looking at some of the trends around content which have accelerated due to coronavirus measures. Because whilst I mentioned that kids have turned towards their classic favourites for escapism and entertainment, content is about much more than just entertainment. Some of our recent research, as we can see here, shows that kids are aware of a huge range of issues. The tragic killing of George Floyd in the US earlier this year actually sparked a 100% increase in kids in the UK concerned about racism as the conversation around inequality and race really came to the forefront. But kids are also aware of a whole range of issues, including the environment and climate change as well. So what this shows, I think, is that kids are ready to have these difficult conversations on screen and with their favourite characters and learn about these kind of topics from their content. Our research has also showed that children are becoming less aware of gender, perhaps. We're also seeing kids brands kind of embracing this movement to develop products which are non-gender specific. I mean, just a few years ago, almost all products aimed at kids were typically split into girls and boys categories from a very young age. But as the data shows here, more boys are playing with dolls and play sets since lockdown. This could be as kind of lockdown measures really encourage siblings to actually kind of different genders play together, introducing each other to their favourite toys. So what this kind of shows is that kids are really ready to have these conversations and learn. They're open-minded, but with school disrupted this year, the way they actually learn has changed as well. We've seen a rise in the trend for edutainment. So what's happened is coronavirus measures again have meant parents have obviously had to take on the role of the teacher. And therefore content and experiences which are educational but also entertaining really makes the added teaching responsibility just that bit easier for parents. And as well, another point here is that as financial concerns grow for families due to the pandemic and the effects of the pandemic, I think that products and content with a purpose should really start to cut through a bit more as families look to make more considered purchases. And then I just also want to finish off by kind of continuing this educational theme, but really looking at who is influencing them on screen. Who are they learning from? We all know about the popularity of influencers like Ryan or Jojo, who are incredibly popular, but we've actually recently done some research around who are kids' role models and heroes. Who are they looking up to? And actually one of the main things we found is it's not YouTubers and influencers, obviously. One of the things we found is that children are coming to the realization that children themselves can be the hero. We saw how passionate they are just there about a range of issues, and they're concerned about injustice, and they judge characters and personalities against their own values as well. So I think the important thing to note here is it's important that content and characters allow children's own self-expression too. Now, the kind of kids' aspirations also change depending on familiarity as well. During the pandemic and at the height of lockdown, we saw that everyday heroes started to cut through and become more popular. Children are aspiring more now to do jobs that change the world. There's kind of more aspirational and celebrity and status jobs fell in popularity and have been replaced by more everyday heroes, more practical career aspirations, which is really interesting. So in summary, the times are changing extremely fast for kids, and obviously the pandemic has accelerated many trends, and as children have been anxious and bored, they've been looking towards their favourite trusted content that they already know and love as a form of escapism and entertainment. They're also looking to co-create their own content and experiences too, but what they seek out in content and animation is increasingly more than just entertainment. Kids are really aware of and are ready to have the conversation about a range of global issues, and the pandemic has also accelerated the trend for edutainment, which is changing the way kids learn as well. The pandemic is also changing who they aspire to be and who they learn from. So I think these are some really important considerations that creators and brands can use to kind of ensure their content is as relevant as possible for children as we enter 21. That's just about all from me. But before you leave, we've created a special landing page, a web page, where ABC attendees can get access to our portal and also download a bunch of reports that our amazing research team have produced. There's one about COVID, there's one called Trends Across the Planet, and very soon there'll be a report on our 2021 future forecast. So I really recommend you go over there and check those reports out. And I also hope you enjoy the rest of your virtual conference. I look forward to hopefully meeting you all in person, maybe again one day soon. But thanks for listening, and we'll speak to you all soon. Thanks.